Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to a new year of art video chaos. No, but really, I hope the new year has been treating you all well. I've pretty much just spent the last few weeks chilling out, doing nothing, which is honestly pretty rare for me. I'm not a very, chill out and don't work on anything person. I like to keep myself busy, but for the most part, I did work on a couple of projects just because I felt like it. But I figured I would start the year off with a studio vlog because my studio is in desperate need of some maintenance. Plus, in general, I feel like it's nice to start your year off with a nice clean work environment, but yeah, it's pretty bad in here. You can probably see the chaos surrounding me at the moment. In particular, there's a couple of custom art supply storage pieces that I want to design for myself. I know this is how the whole art supply storage thing happened, but I mean literally there's specific spaces where I want to design something to fit in that area to maximize that space and make it as compact as possible. Obviously, in general, the whole studio could use a tidy up, but there's definitely some specific art supplies that I really want to try and figure out a good solution for storage-wise and just maximize, as usual, my overall studio space to be as practical and useful for me as it can. So yes, let's start off with the situation that we're working with at the moment. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Honestly, the one good thing is that a large portion of at least this desk is being taken up by my little airbrush station here of things that I did not actually get around to painting on my holiday, like this Embo bust that I was building. Looks super cool though, and I will definitely be painting this at some point. But yeah, once I get that collapsed, overall, that area at least won't be too bad. Over here, this is mostly, other than my drink selections, mostly 3D printed pieces for a prop that I'm building this week, which I'm not sure if that will be up before or after this video, but I will card my prop shop channel here if you are interested in seeing that. This is just a mess because I've been printing the pieces and then just dropping them on the desk here, so that will obviously be getting moved, cleaned up, etc. as I build the prop, so again, not too bad there. This one, again, I have my airbrush, and so this is more just general tidy up, which is great, although we have my new little thing here, which I am obsessed with. This is one of the projects that I worked on during my break, which I have absolutely no room to show you because of the chaos on my desk. But this is this custom tool spinner that is, of course, designed to look like and work like the IKEA Scadus pegboards. So I found the exact dimensions and measurements and everything for the Scadus boards, and then I turned it into this cube tower thing, put it on a printed Lazy Susan spinner, and then printed a bunch of accessories to hold all of the different tools that I typically grab and use. It's not full or really done. I was just printing the items that I knew I used all of the time and needed. Typically I'm grabbing these pliers and cutters and the scissors and stuff when I clean up prints for products and things, and so this has become super handy and useful. I want to make an organizer thing or something to go and sit on top, so that's all enclosed and handy. Yeah, overall this has been a really cool, fun project that has already come in super handy, and so along the same veins of that, I want to finally tackle this shelf. Now this shelf, admittedly, other than all of these scrap pieces of paper here, it does look pretty aesthetically pleasing, which is nice, but I have wanted to replace this particular organization unit for quite a while because it is just taking up a disproportionate amount of room on this shelf, and I really need more of this shelf back for art books because they're just spilling out all over the place in areas. And overall, you probably can't really tell, but these paints I had to build, I'm not sure if this was part of a video, it might be, but I had to build these divider things so that the paint would stick out more. Basically this unit is twice as deep as it seems like due to the paint tubes. This is all my acrylic gouache colors as I point using all of this scrap paper. Yeah, it's kind of random to have the acrylic gouache with these fine liner marker things here that I don't really grab, and so they can go in a drawer somewhere, but the acrylic gouache I do grab. So I want to essentially make myself a custom acrylic gouache specific tube storage that is designed to fit within this shelf parameter, which honestly I think my normal paint tube storage would fit in here. I just don't think it would maximize out like the height of the shelf or whatever, which I want to do to make this as like streamlined and compact as possible. So I'm just going to design another specifically for these paints and make sure that they can all fit in there, and also maybe have some extra wiggle room if I ever decide to buy more of them. But yeah, the paint tube storage units tend to take a while to print, so I think I'm going to start by designing that up to get it printing, and then we can continue on with the overall tidying up of the studio. So I have that storage unit thing pulled out here, and first I think I'm going to deal with these markers, and for that I just bought this pen roll storage pencil roll holder thing that is supposed to hold 48 separate pens or pencils or whatever, which is perfect for this set. Just something simple, nothing fancy. I did consider possibly looking at making like a custom tower storage situation or whatever for these, but I'm not sure really what I want to do, and I figured this would be super easy, just roll up and throw in a drawer. So yeah, first going to put these into this, and then we will deal with the acrylic gouache. And here is the paint organizer back on the shelf. This is like not pushed back or anything, I just thought it looked quite pleasant, at least for the moment, lined up with these books that I moved around. I did a whole sort of reorganization of books, different places, since there's very few books that can actually fit on this particular shelf because it's not very tall, and you know, art books tend to be quite large. Yeah, that's what the finished acrylic gouache storage is looking like. As you can see, I actually have room to grow, which is mostly because I didn't really plan the bottom row. It just so happened that I could like fit it, like technically these are angled, and so the bottom section isn't angled, it's literally flat, and the angle that this creates is like absolutely perfect to fit a paint tube. So that just happened to work out really well. And then if I have more books, which I actually think I'm good right now for book organization, but if I have more books that I need to go up here or anything else, that can physically turn to take up like probably a third of the shelf space. Yeah, I guess on to the next organization project. I'm sorry if this studio vlog is all over the place, but I realized there's a couple of things that I wanted to sit down and talk about and I guess ask your thoughts and opinions on regarding certain products. You know, my entire art supplies making career and store was pretty much launched thanks to the interest in the comment section, so your opinions absolutely are very valuable to me and I appreciate them greatly. And I figured the best course of action would just be to see what everyone thinks. The first matter is regarding, I guess, a product color, you could call it. So of course, most of my products are essentially white plastic with then the painted lids and stuff, which honestly makes sense. You know, most paint palettes are white and they sort of have to be when you are mixing colors and just so it's not really competing with the colors in the palette depending on the product and stuff. And so naturally, because I was keeping white filament in stock all of the time, the various supplies organizers like the fine liner storage, the brush organizer, and the paint tube organizer, those also just were naturally, I made them in white plastic, other than most of those I made for myself and I would have preferred for myself them to be in white plastic just because, you know, nice and clean, not competitive, goes with the studio aesthetic, all of that fun stuff. But because of the pencil organizers, you know, like, where's mine? These bad boys, the ones that look like the colored pencils, because of this product, I am now keeping a lot of filament colors like in stock in my studio and like warehouse and stuff for producing those. And so technically speaking, because I now have this filament on hand at basically all times, it means I could start producing some of the other products like the brush organizer, for example, in those colors. And I guess I just wanted to feel out the idea. Not necessarily the paint tube organizer because that thing takes a crazy amount of plastic, so other than maybe like a super custom order, not necessarily looking at that, it was more specifically definitely the brush organizer because I feel like, you know, brushes aren't really competing color-wise for things, and so having a nice colored brush organizer kind of makes sense to me. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that as an idea. Like, would you be interested in a colored brush organizer or something? Obviously anything at this point could be up for custom order sort of situation, you know, as long as it is a color that I keep in stock. You know, maybe you're someone that owns a mint pencil and you really like the color, maybe you want a brush organizer in that color to match. Just, you know, putting this out there as a possibility. Would you be interested in seeing different product colors? Black is obviously a super simple secondary color. It would possibly make a lot of sense for the fine liners to have the white and the black as like a standard. I'm not sure if the multicolors would necessarily be desirable for that particular storage unit. I don't know, I could be completely wrong and everyone wants like multicolored everything. But that is just something that I've been heavily considering now that I'm keeping all of this different colored filament around, and it is something that I could very easily do. Like, basically all you're doing is printing the object in different filament. So let me hear your thoughts on that. And then the other thing is something that I'm pretty sure I did mention in a video because I showed them in like a haul or something, and then it's been like 8+ months probably now and I've never done anything with them. But if you remember, I ended up buying a bunch of the like Yi traditional artist palette, like a French palette, I'm pretty sure it's what it's actually called, you know, get your beret on and go to town. But I ended up buying a bunch of them because I wanted one definitely for myself, because I wanted to paint the side of it like a galaxy and then like display it on the wall because I really like art supplies like as decor and I thought it might be a pretty cool idea. But I also bought a bunch of other ones because I thought somebody else probably is into the idea of like art supplies decor, and so I was thinking about maybe pour painting them, galaxy painting them to sell, something along those lines. And I'm still down to do that and I'm looking at doing that maybe somewhat in the very near future. But what I was thinking of is, technically speaking, on a lot of them, you still technically could use it as its intended purpose as a palette if you were into using that sort of palette for your work. And so the question here is, because if that was something that anyone was interested in is like a custom back painted palette. I don't know if anyone actually uses these or is interested in like a pretty palette that you use one side of, but basically if I was making the palettes that you're still technically going to use as a palette, it's going to matter what side I painted because they are sort of like oriented, like the holes are on a certain side depending on if you're left-handed or right-handed, which of course is a whole other issue. I know not everyone necessarily holds them, so this might be like a moot issue as well. But if we went from the assumption that you generally would be holding the palette in your left hand because you're using your brush with your right hand, that would mean the bottom of that would be the painted area. So the hole would be on... This is gonna get so confusing. Hopefully you understand what I mean though. Like, technically I think with that orientation it would possibly be the side that I would gravitate toward painting anyway, to have the hole on the right side. But yeah, the point is, I'm down to paint palettes for decor purposes at the very least, but if anyone was interested in the concept of still using said palette, just having it be really pretty and fancy on the back, but still having the one side usable as an actual palette, then it's going to really matter what side I paint. So hopefully that makes sense. So I guess overall, just your thoughts on the palette painting situation, which is so confusing because I paint lids for palettes all the time. I might just have to cut this whole section out of this video. Yeah, I'd really appreciate your opinion on everything that I just blubbered on about, if it made sense at all. Actually, that's not all of the product questions that I have because these just came in the mail. So these are very fancy, pretty on-brand airbrush paints, as you can see from all of their Galaxy loveliness. They're sets of airbrush colors. So one is called Space Dust, we have Magic Dust, and Galaxy Dust. So I'm gonna hold the Galaxy Dust since that one's definitely very on brand for me. So the question that I have for these particular colors, they are color shifting, like crazy color shifting, amazing beautifulness. I will insert an example swatch if I can find any online here, because they're not very exciting looking in the tube, but on actual objects look incredible. And so the question for those is, I was thinking about the possibility, because they are such beautiful holographic duochrome colors, if anyone would be interested in essentially a compact, specifically compact palette lid painted in just the one color. So it would be all duochrome and loveliness, and technically one color, although it has that crazy color shift, so it would be multiple colors technically. Just wanted to know your thoughts on that idea as well. Okay, back to cleaning. Well, these just came in, which I am so excited about. They are, as you can clearly read from the title on the box, airbrush paint colors, which I have been doing a reasonable amount more airbrushing lately. Typically I'm just like mixing stuff up on the fly, but I've always wanted to have like pre-mixed colors all ready to roll when I just need like a tiny bit of one color, so I don't have to bother with like finding the right color and then adding airbrush medium and making sure it's the right consistency and, you know, all of that fun stuff. And these were actually really reasonably priced. They were like, came out to like $2 a bottle, which is insane considering they're like double the size of most like hobby airbrush colors that are like $4 or $5 a bottle. So very excited to try these out. But something, as I'm probably you can tell from this, other than I probably am going to come up with something different to store these in, but for now I'm pretty okay with the box because it is pretty compact. There isn't like super tons of extra bulk, and it means that I can put these away really easily when I'm not using them, since I don't really have a good spot for them right now with my current setup. So I am going to leave them in the box, but as you can probably tell from the color situation here, they are extremely out of color order, which I get why some of them are, because some of these are metallics, so I'm assuming these ones are probably metallic, but just overall the color order is an absolute catastrophe, and so I'm gonna put them into some semblance of order, but then yeah, put them back in the box. think that looks significantly better. It's going to be a ton easier to find what color I'm actually looking for. And I guess we will move on to the next reorganization task. And as for the main studio space, it's looking a ton better. Obviously, everything can be improved more, but I actually have like floor back, which is incredible. This is not staying here. This is the prop that was on the desk that is now built and is just chilling there for now. I was taking pictures of it and finishing up the filming process for that. Here's what the desk situation looks like. I know in some areas it looks a bit cluttered, but it honestly always kind of looks like that. I'm constantly working on something using it, so very rarely will it be like fully, if ever, fully cleaned off. So it's a significant improvement compared to what it was, and there's obviously things that aren't gonna stay there, like these 500 shot glasses that just came in for pouring. They're like the perfect size for pouring compact lids, so I bought 500 of those, which is probably a lifetime supply for me because I reuse them. I also did some work underneath the desk, not that you can really tell a difference, but it's looking much better under there as well. Although not everything that is underneath here is actually going to stay there, especially the compact supply that I've got going on there. They're all the pieces. That's normally in the closet, but right now I have the big printer back in here, which isn't gonna stay. It's just I was printing myself stuff, and it has been living in my bedroom, which isn't ideal because, you know, some of us do actually need to sleep, and I was doing like multi-day prints, and so I moved that back in here, but that will get moved out again, and then the other small guy will go back there, and then the compact supply will go there. As you can see, it's a busy house in here. That one's printing stuff for me. This one has been working on compact pieces, which the compact palettes take a lot of pieces, and so it's been chugging away at those for like 2 weeks, I think, non-stop now. I know this closet floor isn't looking great right now, but it looked way worse, and honestly, for the most part, it's just pieces that I'm printing and have just like dropped because I need to take them into my workshop. So that is a Phasma helmet. I've got droid pieces around, so those will all get moved out very quick and easy, and probably moved right after I finish filming this. Yeah, now that this whole area has been tidied, I can now go ahead and make a mess of it again. But that is going to be where I end this studio vlog, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.